I'll yield to the ranking member.
Thank you to my fellow freshman and classmate, Senator Curtis, and also thank you to Senator Cantwell for the opportunity to be ranking member today. And I also want to thank the witnesses. This is one of the issues that a lot of times we will get messages from our constituents. People have strong opinions, and I was literally in a meeting before this with a CEO of a company who asked, well, what do you think? And so this is something that does touch on so many. And I want to start my questions with you, Dr. Harkey, because year-round daylight saving time would mean later sunrises in the mornings. More people may be commuting to work or to school in the dark. Some people have raised concerns that this would put their children at greater risk of being hit by cars while walking to school. Pedestrians are more likely to be killed in traffic accidents, as you stated, in the dark because it's harder for the drivers to see them. And in the 1970s, it was widely reported that mothers raised significant concerns about their children walking to school in the dark in the winter. Nationwide, over 70% of fatal accidents involving pedestrians occur at night. Dr. Harkey, no matter what time the sun goes down, what roadway improvements can cities and states make to reduce pedestrian fatalities?
Thank you for the question, Senator. That is exactly what our study indicated, is that it's not about the shifting of the time that we're going to have darkness, regardless of which decision you make, which policy decision you make. And so that's what we're looking for, is to try and figure out how do we make pedestrians and bicyclists in particular safer in those dark hours, whether they're in the morning or whether they're in the evening. And for most municipalities and county agencies and state DOTs who are struggling to address this issue, there's two key things. One is space. We have to provide the appropriate space, sidewalks, in rural areas that can be separated paths or possibly paved shoulders even. Places for people to walk where they're not in the edge of the travel lane. We also have to take care to provide careful crossings. So we have to pay particular attention to how we're allowing motor vehicles and pedestrians to interact at crosswalks. These can be at intersections, they can be at mid-block locations. So you have to have appropriate crossings. Pedestrians aren't going to walk too far. They're going to make those decisions to cross in the middle of the road sometimes. And so you want to make sure that you're providing adequate crossings where they want to cross. And then you've got to do all you can to provide the kinds of traffic control devices that will increase motorist yielding behavior. So this includes things like rapid flash beacons, which have been shown to increase motorist yielding behavior sixfold. You can build on that. Adding simple things like lights that are triggered when a pedestrian hits the crosswalk area. It will light up that crosswalk. You can double the amount of motorist yielding behavior. So these are interventions that have been proven over time, and it's important for state agencies and local agencies to take advantage of those kinds of interventions and get those implemented anywhere that they have pedestrians.
Following along on the safety theme, what vehicle technologies can help protect pedestrians when it's difficult for drivers to see them?
Yeah, and so this is another important aspect, and this was what builds on the safe system approach, right? Building that redundancy into the systems. You don't just rely on the infrastructure, you also build technology into vehicles that can help with this. Two big things that we've studied. One is better headlights. We're the only group in the world that tests headlights the way that we do on our track. And so we've seen improvements in headlights over the years that increase visibility and provide drivers with additional time. They can see that pedestrian further down the roadway. And so that's a big change, and we'll continue to push for that. The other is automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection. That also has been shown to work and be very effective at reducing pedestrian crashes in the daytime. And now our testing is really focused on getting automakers to improve those systems to work even better at nighttime. So that's an example of two technologies in the vehicle that can be really, really beneficial.
You know, one of the things that I've noticed is that our safety efforts are siloed. You have the Federal Highway Administration, which builds and maintains highways. You have the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, which regulates vehicle safety standards and investigates defects. Then you've got the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, which oversees commercial motor vehicles and trucking industry safety, all kind of working separately. And I think back to what you were talking about kind of how can we better layer safety measures to help stop deadly crashes?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so build on top of the separation in the federal agencies that you just discussed. Along with them, you have state DOTs, you have county DOTs, you have city DOTs. And so it becomes quite the web of how you make decisions when it comes to road safety. One of the things that we have to do a better job of is communicating between those agencies deliberately. And so there is no single authority of the ones that you mentioned that has complete authority over every decision on our roadway system when it comes to safety. And so these agencies have to do a better job of communicating together deliberately, and not just at the executive level, but at the staff level, because it's at the staff level where people know what interventions work best and how to apply those in a way that you create that redundancy in the system that we were talking about. So whether it's infrastructure, whether it's vehicle, whether it's changing behaviors, that communication amongst the staff is absolutely critical.
Great, thank you, and was really interested to hear about your 30 by 30. So in the interest of time, I will yield back to the chairman.